Hey guys, Coach Jason. Hope you're doing well. I just wanted to do something brief today. I want to talk a little bit about cross country, but why I want to talk about why I feel it's such an amazing sport. I feel like it doesn't get the love and recognition that it deserves. I feel like it's an underappreciated and an underrated sport. But honestly, some of the toughest people I've seen in over 20 years of coaching, and the toughest people I've trained with in over 25 years as a competitor and a coach have run cross country, either as a distance runner or, even as a coach. I've had kids that come up from the 400, or jumpers, hurdlers come up and run cross country as a great way of getting them in shape for other events later on. I've even had some of them come up and score on championship teams. Surprisingly enough, you never really know what they're going to become when they run cross country. But I tell you this, some of the toughest performances, the character of a lot of people gets revealed in cross country, and it's a unique sport where everybody's training for the same event, okay, and where the lowest score wins, or the lowest amount of points wins. It's kind of unique in that regard. What does that mean? You have to put, if there's a 7-man or 7-woman team and only 5 of them score, you have to put them as close to each other as possible. And that means you have to figure out a way to get them to train as close as possible together for an entire season, and to get the people in the back to close the gap towards the front, and so on. And the other cool thing about it is, with 7 scorers, somebody goes down or somebody gets sick, the other person's got to be prepared enough to step up and hopefully, fill in that person's shoes. That doesn't necessarily mean the number 7 woman is going to replace the number 1 woman if the 1 woman goes down with strep throat or stress fracture or whatever. But it's one of the sports where number 7 is just as important, in my opinion, as number 1. Okay, number 1s and number 2s are generally consistent. But with that said, I think it's important to treat everybody, like they're the most important person on the team when it comes to cross country. Now, some athletes will get a little bit more attention, but that doesn't necessarily make them that much more important. But it's also one of the sports where if you haven't seen a cross country race, like whether it's NCAA's at Terre Haute, or like a race at Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx, or something like that, or the World Cross Country Championships, man, I tell you, you're missing out. Because, some folks will be, well, these people are just running and all this stuff. You'd be surprised at how much of an energy level there is at cross-country races and in big invitationals. It is crazy, okay? And being able to just see the progression of races and who's moving up and who's not, and so on and so forth. And particularly if they're, like in Van Cortlandt Park, there's a big open field, and then they go back and run a loop at 2 kilometers and come back out. You'll see the difference, or you'll see the suspense building up while you're waiting for them to get out of the loop to come out. It's a lot of excitement, and a lot of intensity, and a lot of energy, and I feel it's really underappreciated, and it's an underrated sport. And the cool thing about it too is a lot of the best cross-country runners, it's a transformational sport. A lot of the best cross-country runners do really well on the track, or do really well on the roads, whether you're high school, college, post-college. And I personally encourage people to run cross country even after they graduate college if they want to still run or compete. I think cross country is a great conduit. It's a great way of keeping you, not only giving you variety, but putting you in a position to be able to train well and train hard, particularly if you have the environment that allows you to do so. If you have a lot of grass and hills and trails and stuff like that, you can do really well on track, without having to run a lot on the track. You could do cross-country workouts pretty much all winter, and build a ridiculous amount of strength, even in the cold. There's so many things you could do. But with that said, I just wanted to give a little love to cross-country. Again, I get excited every year. I don't compete anymore, but I still coach a couple dozen athletes. I get excited when the fall comes because, I have some athletes who still run some cross-country races as a way of preparing themselves for a 5K or a marathon, a half marathon and stuff, but I still go to cross-country races. I'll go to the Iona Meet of Champions at Van Cortlandt Park, or I'll go to NCAA cross-country championships in Terre Haute, Indiana, and you got to see the amount of people that go. There's thousands of people at these things. It's It's crazy. And you'll see the people, especially in NCAAs, they will book from one side of the field to the other. Once the athletes go by, they'll go, shoo. You'll see a stampede of people going by to get to the next part so they can see the athletes. It's intense. It's really, really cool. And if you haven't been to an event, I highly encourage you to go to one. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. And if you're a runner and you're now post college or whatever, just you're running road races, if there's some cross country races that you have access to, I highly encourage you to try one if you haven't yet. It gives you variety in your training, gives you variety in your racing, but it's also a great way of simulating different things. Also simulating hills, and just a different type of race. And if you want to test your limits, I definitely encourage you to run a cross-country race. So that's my 2 cents. I just wanted to give a little love. A lot of my videos, or most of my training videos, are all training and workouts and this and that. And if you're a runner or coach, this channel is definitely for you. I encourage you to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet. Not only will I greatly appreciate your support, but you're going to see dozens and dozens of really, really good videos that will give you a lot of good data, a lot of good info to help aid your training or the training of your athletes. But I would appreciate your support either way. And if you don't want to miss any of the ones I'm going to be putting forward, make sure you hit that notification next to it. And if you enjoy the videos, please click that thumbs up. But aside from that, we're in the summertime now. Train smart, train hard, hydrate. Look out for each other. This is a time to get fit and to get strong. And right now we're coming out of an uncertain time. We don't really know when the cross-country season is going to be allowed or when it's going to happen. So you have 2 options. You can either be ready or not be ready. I would encourage you to be ready, because when time comes to put your battle shoes on and your spikes and get ready for those races, you know how good it feels, especially if you're running really, really well in a cross-country race. So let's get to work. Adapt, improvise, overcome. Be safe. I'll talk to you next time.